Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Lawn Bowls for Fun channel. Yesterday I was talking to a potential new bowler, and the question he asked me was, what's the dress code for bowls and how much is it going to cost me to take up bowls? Two very good questions. So I want to go through that with you now, try and explain the position. First of all, dress code. Bowls have been around for a long time, and certainly for the last 100 years it hasn't changed a great deal. It has started to about 10 years ago, but there's only been sort of really two dress codes, and that's what they're called greys and whites. It's changed a little bit over the years. When I took up bowls 35 years ago at my club, the men used to wear a white shirt with a club tie with grey trousers. And that was the dress code for most games. But at weekends we played friendlies, and if we entered district and county competitions and got through to the final, then you'd wear whites. So whites are used for friendlies because people consider they're sort of the more traditional part of the game, and for any sort of finals and competitions whites are used. And if you play, for example, like I have a few times for the county, then you wear whites. So the only difference between greys and whites is that you still wear whatever top you're supposed to be wearing. This is at club level, and it's just the trousers that change, grey or white. If I back off a bit now, you'll see, depends how far I go, I'm wearing grey trousers. So the dress I'm wearing now is greys. Now, colour has been introduced into our sport, into this country. We're a little bit behind Australia. There's a lot of colour in bowls in Australia, but in the United Kingdom we've been a little bit slow to take that on board. But this is a shirt that I bought, which I use at my indoor bowling club, and I would also use if I'm just going to have a roll-up outdoors, and this would be considered still a white top, but with just a bit of colour. I've got various pictures I can show you of different dress codes. For example, my club colours are white shirt with some light blue on the shirt, and we can wear those with either grey trousers or white trousers, and the difference is just that one is greys and one is whites. So up until about sort of, I don't know, 20 years ago, I suppose, most clubs, the men wear shirts with a tie, a club tie, and grey or white trousers. Ladies would wear white tops with a club scarf. Ties have sort of disappeared recently, and you're getting club shirts. They're still predominantly white, but some clubs have just gone for a plain colour, but they would still wear those with either grey or white trousers. So that's really the main difference. Generally, so greys are used for just roll-ups, leagues that they play in, clubs league. During the week they play in various leagues, men's and ladies leagues and mixed leagues. So it's usually greys that are worn, but friendlies, they're usually whites. Some clubs though don't have whites, they prefer just to have one dress code. So when our club at Farnborough play a team, another club, and they don't want to wear whites, then we wear greys along with the visiting team, or if we're going to their club. But at our club, most of our friendlies are played in whites. Some clubs, as I say, don't use whites at all, so they're just greys all the time. Also at my outdoor bowling club, we don't insist on greys now being worn if you just want to have a roll-up on your own, or we have a couple of days where we have club roll-ups and we allow people to come along casually dressed. We just feel we're trying to relax the dress code a little bit to try and make the bowls more attractive to the younger generations. Really, they don't want to wear necessarily, if they're just going to come and have a practice session, they don't want to put all their kit on, so they can just turn up in what we call sort of smart casual. Funnily enough, on those roll-ups that we have, the organised roll-ups, where we don't insist on greys being worn, the majority of members do still wear their greys, a white top, or I would wear this for example, but with grey trousers. But if I wanted to turn up in just another pair of trousers and any other top, as long as it's not loud, it's difficult to know where to draw the line with dress code when you say casual. What we don't encourage is people coming up with a camouflage top or something. That wouldn't be very practical, or bright purple trousers. You know, we do ask people to be a little bit selective on their dress, but we want to encourage people to, if they just want to have a little roll up, to come along, and they just have to be careful that they don't wear anything too loud. The other thing is, if there's a county game going on, if we've got 4 rinks being used for county, then we ask members, look, you know, if you're going to have a roll up that day, can you turn up in greys? We don't want people wearing jeans next to a county game that's all in whites. Not all clubs do that. Some clubs insist if you play you have to wear greys, and it varies throughout the country. If you should ever go to become good enough to play for your county, they're a bit stricter about dress code. Certainly the county that I play for at the moment, when we go for a county game, we're playing another county, we have to turn up in what they call greys, which is grey trousers, a white shirt with the county tie and a blazer. When we get to the game, we take those off, we put on white trousers and the county club shirt, play the game. Then after the game is finished, we change back into greys, white tie, white shirt, county tie and blazer. That's a little bit traditional, really. A lot of counties are starting to relax that a little bit. Certainly the county I play for hasn't relaxed that yet. I think they will do in time, because other clubs are starting to, in fact, rather than wear blazers, they're getting these sort of coloured tops, which I think look really smart. But it just varies from county to county. You have to, you know, obviously if you want to play for the county, you have to do as you're told. You have to wear whatever their dress code is. I think it's a little bit, we're a little bit behind the times, really. In Australia, from what I've seen anyway, it's all colour, and I think we're going along that route. But I think we're about 10 years behind Australia at the moment in our dress code. I like to wear a bit of colour. I'd like to get away from the just white tops and grey trousers. That's why I bought a couple of these shirts. I've got this one, I've got another one that's a darker blue with grey colour instead of the red. And I just like a little bit of colour. It's a bit more relaxing. We've got a lot of people now indoors when they play in the leagues. The dress code is greys, but you can wear white shirts with a bit of colour as well. Although at this club we don't have that many people. I'm sort of one of the few that do wear a bit of colour, but it's slowly creeping in. But when you go to other clubs, I've noticed a lot of people are wearing coloured shirts. So that's it. So it's a bit long-winded, that, wasn't it? I didn't mean it to go on as much as it did. But so there's greys and whites. If you join my club at Farnborough, for example, outdoors, when you start, you're going to have to buy yourself a pair of grey trousers, which are used for most league games. If you want to play friendlies at weekends, you're going to have to buy a pair of white trousers. You'll also have to buy a club shirt, which are about £25. A lot of people buy a couple of shirts so they can wash them and keep them going. So the cost of taking up bowls. Right, well, that's a good question. It depends if you want to do it with all new stuff or second hand. I suppose the most expensive thing to buy when you take up bowls is a set of bowls themselves. I've done another video on bowls, so I'll put the link down below where you can check that out. But basically, if you buy a new set of coloured bowls, you're going to be talking about £350. Black bowls are a bit cheaper, they're about £250. But of course, there's a lot of second-hand bowls out there available, and you can pick up a set of bowls from about £20 onwards, depending on how old they are. So it can be done cheaply. You'll need a pair of shoes, of course. Shoes vary in prices from, I think they start about £25 or £30, and they go up to quite a lot of money. Certainly the ones I bought this year, because my old ones finally wore out, which I wore for about 10 years, these were quite expensive. These were about £80. I forget exactly how much they were, but I do think that with shoes, though, you don't want to scrimp. You know, if you're going to be on your feet for 2 or 3 hours, throughout a bowls game, you want something really comfortable to wear. So I do think that's the one thing you should spend a little bit more on, is a decent pair of shoes. So you've got to buy a set of bowls, you've got to buy some shoes, you've got to buy a bag to put the bowls in. Again, you can sometimes pick them up second hand, and they vary between sort of 30, 40, 50 pounds for a bag to put all your equipment in. You need a pair of grey trousers, a pair of white trousers, and you need a top. If you're bowling outdoors, unlike indoors, outdoors, you might need some wet weather gear. Some bowlers don't mind getting wet. We don't play in the pouring rain. Certainly if the green starts to get waterlogged, we have to stop, but you'd be surprised, we often have to continue through showers, and you can get very wet if you don't wear some sort of waterproof tops. I've just bought some new ones. I've had the ones I've just replaced. Oh crikey, I must have had them for 20 years. They lasted pretty well, really. So I've just bought a complete new set, because last year I was finding we had quite a bit of rain last year, and it was starting to seep through, and it's not very pleasant at all. So I've just decided to bite the bullet and buy some new wet weather gear, and I think the total cost was about £100. But they were quite good quality. So I just don't think you can skimp on things like that. You want good quality. So I suppose if you're really on a budget, you could, if you bought second-hand bowls and just bought one pair of trousers, one club shirt, and if you don't have to buy white trousers, you can probably start bowls for about £100, maybe 150 if you've got to buy a bag as well. If you want to buy everything new, a new set of bowls, a really nice bag, 2 sets of, say, trousers, greys, and maybe you only need 1 set of whites, a couple of shirts, some wet weather gear, and all the other bits and pieces, you could spend £500–600. So it just depends on what your budget is. What I will say is, though, when you have bought those things, they'll last you for years. A set of bowls, you only ever have to buy 1 set of bowls, really. You should have to buy another set of bowls. They last you for donkey's years. And even my wet weather gear lasted 20 years. The shirts last several years. So, you spread that cost over, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, and it doesn't sound so bad. But yeah, I'm afraid any sport, when you take up any sport, there is a cost for kitting yourself out, and bowls is no different. But I would say that it's certainly a lot cheaper than some sports like golf, for example, but a bit more expensive than others. So I hope that's been useful. Right, see you again soon.